Welcome back, everybody, to episode 258 of Take Two Podcast, your weekly show for all of your Hollywood news, TV, movie reviews, and, of course, our Take Two. That's 258 straight weeks. Tony and I have not been procrastinating. We've been pumping out podcasts for you every single week. Did I say the word right? I tried to get it right. Okay.
I don't know.
Well, it was in one of the shows that we watched together. He dropped that
Yeah.
line. Yeah, I think I got it right. Either way, working hard over here. We hope you guys enjoy. Thank you to all of our listeners. We had a couple of new listeners, I think, this week. Some folks that we chatted on the socials. Thank you for joining over to Take Two Podcast. We give you this weekly show all about Hollywood. There are some spinoffs also in our feed that we want you guys to enjoy, including Take Two Spotlight. It just dropped 2 days ago on Mr. Oscar Isaac. It's a quick episode, but it's a fun one. And I think the whole premise of his episode is that going forward, this man still has a huge career yet to come, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love when we have episodes like that. You know, I mean, I hate to actually. The first one that pops to mind is something like Chadwick Boseman. When we talked about him, we were like, "Oh man, look at all this guy has yet to come." You know, obviously that tragically ended. But I love when we can kind of shine a light on somebody that we love now, and maybe we're a little bit ahead of the game, and hopefully they'll get recognized at some point.
Sure. Bonus Take Two Podcast stuff. If you guys want, we have a Patreon, patreon.com Take Two Podcast. It's as low as $1 a month. We have quite a few Patreon members already. They are already enjoying the spoils of our Patreon membership, and that is bonus podcasting content, at least 2 episodes a month. You get some early releases in there as well, some merchandise, some extra shout-outs, including Vaughn. Vaughn called me out this week on a mistake I made on last week's episode. Thanks, buddy. Yeah,
really?
I appreciate it. I forgot our timestamps. I totally forgot to do the time. It's like a
Oh,
staple of our show, too.
Mm.
Yeah, my head was out of it this week.
Miss Minutes, we got to give Miss Minutes a break every once in a while.
Yes, yeah, take a breather. But
she was on leave.
Called me on it. Roy, Craig, Katz, Ryan, Chris, and a special shout out to Gerald and Mrs. Gerald. Happy 11th anniversary to them. They just had their wedding anniversary.
Yes.
I had not seen a picture of Mrs. Gerald.
He definitely married up.
He definitely married up, yes.
As we both did. So
we did.
Good job, buddy.
We're even across the board. All right, so for episode 258, here's what we got. We're going to have a first take and a series review for you guys. We're not having any movies this week, but we have 3 first takes. We're going to be talking about scenes from a marriage, the premise, and why the last man. So a couple of Hulus and Netflix, and then Tony's going to wrap up Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'll get to comment a little bit because I watched some of it, but we'll chat about that later. We have all of our other segments, our box office, our poll results, What's in the Glass, trailer talk, an absolutely loaded casting couch, and then, of course, news, DC, and Marvel. You good, buddy? How you been?
Yeah, I'm good. You know, it's been a little bit busy for us, both of us behind the scenes here, so that's why the show's going to be a little lighter this week, and, you know, had to pump the brakes. We had a couple long, lengthy shows, lots of stuff to talk about, so this week's a little bit light, but it's going to be good, yeah, and I'm also looking forward to my anniversary this weekend, so I had to comment on Gerald. I was like, oh, man, we're like with the same weekend and everything, so that's cool.
Wow.
18 years here. Yeah.
18 years she's been standing next to you. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
She's pot committed at this point. There's
Yeah. There's no going back. We're not leaving. Yeah. She's done. She's stuck.
All right, guys. Last thing before we get going is don't forget to join us on all of our socials: Facebook, Instagram. You know, follow those pages. We're easy to find at Take Two Podcast across the board. Of course, for Twitter as well. If you want to shoot us a phone call or a text message, 434-602-1931 is the hotline, and you can email us take2podcast@gmail.com.
I like that. We should put that as the intro music now. Just a little jingle that you make.
Hey, our 5-year Annie's coming up. Maybe we should switch some things up. Switch up the jingle or something crazy. Yeah. Oh, I tell you what. All right, first person to notice. Craig, you're out on this because you already know. We're going to change something up for the little Halloween time.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
yeah, that you
pay attention.
So
folks.
yeah, first person to see that. There's your hint, and hit us up. I don't know. That's all. We'll give you an extra bonus shout out. All right, let's get rocking and rolling.
Sounds good, yeah.
Start things off with our box office.
Yeah, the box office this week, we, little inside baseball, folks, we are recording a little earlier than usual, so this is going to be estimate-based more than anything. So these numbers may change. They may not be fully accurate, but we're going to go ahead with them anyways. Shang-Chi comes in number 1 again. I think we predicted that last week, that none of the new releases were going to knock him from the throne. $21 million in a third weekend. That is actually the second best third weekend in September ever.
What?
Like, not pandemic, nothing. Second best third weekend of release in September of all time.
So
Only
that's
behind It.
That's the second big record all time that Shang-Chi
Yes,
has now
yes,
broken box office wise.
yes. This movie is
Wow.
crushing it. So 176 domestic. I didn't pull any worldwide, overseas, anything like that. When you're doing the estimates, they basically just give the domestic numbers only. So, but
Mhm.
it did hit the 150 mark on its 12th day of release, which is faster than Black Widow. And they said that it's actually on track to become the highest grossing film released since Bad Boys, which was pre-pandemic, January 2020. So
Mm.
nice stuff. I think that was like 180 something overall. So yeah, it's doing nice as far as domestic numbers at least.
And well
And
deserved too. I'm happy to see that a movie that we enjoyed and is a
yeah,
good, in our opinion, is a good film. Getting, sometimes you get
and
that blockbustery film that's not great,
yeah.
but people want to go see it type deal. So,
Well, there's a difference between, people talk about Marvel and it's just, sequel, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But this was actually an original kind of Marvel that we hadn't seen yet. So at least it's an
mhm.
original character. I think that people went out for that more than anything.
Right?
And of course, it brings that discussion up again. Like, well, Black Widow had the release on Disney Plus, so this did not. So maybe that's why we're seeing the box office numbers be bigger.
Sure, sure.
Coming in second place, do you have a guess for this?
Cry Macho?
Cry Macho did not come in second place, which
Duh!
I would have thought that it would have, but maybe again the same discussion. Maybe the HBO
This was
took
on
some of the money
HBO.
away. It comes in third place. Second place was Free Guy, which added another 5 million. It is
That's
at 108.4 domestic. That movie continues to do well.
good for them.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So Cry Macho comes in third with a little bit of a disappointment there, 4.7. So they were close. These numbers could change once the full weekend comes out, but
True, true.
they are estimating it to come in third place. Cry Macho 4.7, and I think last I saw it was only like 53% Rotten Tomatoes, maybe so
Well,
not doing
yeah.
well.
I mean, you and I didn't contribute in any capacity to it, so
Yeah,
so
so, some of that was more timing than
yeah,
anything for us. Like I
sure.
could have probably watched it on HBO, but I chose to watch the first couple episodes and nailed it instead.
Okay.
So, sorry, Clint. I'd rather watch people bake poorly than watch you get in a fight scene when you're 91.
Holy
Either way,
jeez.
so maybe next week we'll catch up with it, and maybe we can talk about it then.
Okay.
Fourth place, Candyman, 3.47 million, making its domestic total 53.1 so far, which is impressive because this is now on demand. It hit on demand this weekend as well. So maybe this
Oh.
is something that people just don't know now with like when things are available, where, you know what I mean? That's a whole
Mm.
other discussion. Does the general public know when things are getting released on demand? Is there really advertising to that extent? Because I haven't seen, oh, Candyman available home now advertised anywhere.
Right,
So
right.
unless you're looking for it, or maybe people are just going out for a movie night. Hey, what do we want to see? They don't know the release windows for which studio. Oh, Universal only does 17 days. Disney does 30. Normal people don't
Sure.
know that. That's the shit we talk about. But so
Sure.
that movie continues to do well, still in the top five, and
That's
I'm
the
hoping to
shit
catch
we
up on
talk
it.
about.
There you go.
That's the
I'm hoping to maybe catch up on that now that that's available at home, and then maybe we'll have a quick discussion about that next week. And then rounding out the top five was Malignant, 2.65. That brings it to 9.8 for a total. I've heard such varying reviews on that movie. It really is
mm.
amazing. Like some people hated it, some people
Mm.
loved it. I think it just depends on if you understood what James Wan was trying to do more than anything. So, and if you stuck
Gotcha.
with it, because I know the beginning of the movie can be maybe a little rough to get through, but if
Sure.
you commit and get to that end, it's worth it, in my opinion. Otherwise, a couple of the new releases, Cop Shop, which we didn't even talk about last week. I didn't even mention it. I
Yeah.
haven't seen trailers, nothing really. And that's Gerard Butler, Frank Grillo, and that debuted at number 6 with 2.5 million. So, and I
Wow.
heard some decent things. I heard some decent people enjoyed it.
Huh.
So good for
Okay.
them. Maybe I'll check that one up down the road. And then Eyes of Tammy Faye also had its release. Only 653,000 for the weekend, so not a very good release for them.
People
But
just
we
want to
talked about
stop
that
giving money
before.
to Tammy Faye.
Well, we talked about that before. Like, who's this movie for? Like, the
Right.
generation that really lived through this or cares is even a little older than us.
Yeah.
So are those people not comfortable going back to the movies yet? Things like that
Yeah. Yeah.
probably come into it.
Plus, all
Um,
those people don't want to see them losing their money again. Like, I'm still mad at those people type thing.
Well, and I think this movie falls in that category too, from what I've heard of early reviews of it's the performance more than the movie. Like the movie's but you go to see
Sure.
Jessica Chastain and she really does well, whatever. So
Sure. Sure. Sure.
maybe I'm sure we'll have a review of that sometime down the road. And then the last one I've mentioned is Blue Bayou. We had talked about the trailer when it released a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
That got a limited release with 300,000, so decent for being so limited. But look
Yeah.
out for that one. I don't know if it's going to have any kind of awardsy legs more than maybe an indie spirit, something like that. But I do want to check that one out down the road.
Very cool, very cool. All right, folks, thank you for joining us on there. Here we go to one of our favorite segments. Every single Thursday, we drop a poll for you guys to vote on, debate on, comment on across the board. So let's jump into this week's poll results.
I feel like every week when you say Thursday, it's like, I've actually been doing okay the last couple of weeks. Like I get like tension, like am I gonna forget to do it again?
Nah,
Been a couple weeks that I've forgotten or posted it late. So yeah, I'm doing good though. I'm on a streak. All right, so this week I threw the question out there of Clint Eastwood, just looking back at his career as a director, specifically, which of his Best Picture nominated films do you prefer? He's actually had 5 Best Picture nominated films, but of course we're always limited for the Twitter poll, so I only put 4 up. Unforgiven, Mystic River, $1 Million Baby, and Letters from Iwo Jima. The other one being American Sniper, so I didn't include that in there, but maybe just a little too recent and whatever. So the winner, probably no surprise, was Unforgiven, 45% of the vote. I know a lot of people love that one, and that was kind of not his first big film that he directed, but his first one that kind of garnered some real attention and got the nominations and things like that. And we're like, oh, maybe he is a good director also, So that won the poll. Second place was $1 Million Baby, which I was surprised by because I don't know if that one has like a lot of enjoyable kind of rewatchability. 24%, and then Mystic River 21, which I guess you can make the same argument for that. But if I had to pick, I would pick Mystic River. Actually, I prefer that film. I think it's a masterpiece of a film. I love it. I know I have probably rewatched Unforgiven more than any of these though. So and then Letters from Iwo Jima came in last with 9% as well. So
interesting.
Did you have a pick on the Unforgiven? Probably.
I flipped a coin on Baby and Unforgiven, and I went with $1 Million Baby.
Okay.
I could go either way. Ask me again, and I'll vote for Unforgiven. I think I enjoyed both those films, but I do agree with your sentiment that Unforgiven has better rewatchability than $1 Million Baby.
Yeah. And then we had some comments along as well on Facebook. John, he said all of them. He loves all of them. He's a big Clint Eastwood guy, so that's his vote. And then we had both Bo, former co-host, and Frank D. They both shouted out Mystic River. Frank actually said that Mystic River is one of his all-time favorites. I am right there with you, Frank. I think it's a great movie. And then on Instagram, we had Katz, who said Unforgiven, and Craig, who said Unforgiven as well. Katz also gave the caveat that he likes Mystic River and $1 Million Baby, but they're very hard to watch, bad, like kind of tough subject matter, tough finales, things like that. So that makes the Unforgiven get his vote there. And then we only had one other person that shouted out, and that was Shy, and he said Katz or Death to Smoochie. So Shy continuing to troll us. He loves to do this. Usually I don't give him the attention, but he likes to do that every time I put it in our Instagram story. He'll throw like some BS answer in there. So I gave him his due this week. I'll shout him out.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. There you go, guys. There's a poll. Like we say, it drops on Thursdays. It lasts all the way until Sunday, so you have the entire weekend to vote on it. And not only vote on it, but if you don't mind sharing it on your socials, that helps us out as well. And it gets those numbers up there. Now we're going to jump into our first takes. We have 3 in a row. First one we're going to discuss is Why the Last Man.
Yeah, and I kind of forced you to watch this one just because we were only going to have a couple things to talk about. I don't know that this was really on your radar otherwise necessarily, right?
Yes, we talked about it and going forward, and I was interested. I do enjoy me the Diane Lane. I only got to watch one ep, though.
Okay. Hulu dropped the first 3, or FX, however you watched it. First 3 episodes. This is based on a Brian K. Vaughan comic book, which ran over 15 years ago. I actually read it, and it's one of my favorite comics of all time. I've actually thought about trying to get my son to read it for a couple of years now, and this thing has been in developmental hell for about 10 years. Originally, it was going to be a movie. That was the original plan, and it was going to star Shia LaBeouf. And now that you've watched it, you're like, oh, yeah, he would be a good Yorick. But the whole thing was that he felt the role was too similar to his Sam Witwicky, and he didn't want to do it at the time that, maybe 10 years ago, he didn't want to kind of be pigeonholed into that similar role. So then he stepped aside, and then they also said, well, we don't know if there's so much here. This comic ran for 60 issues. It's a lot of story, so we didn't feel like we could do it all in one movie. Let's go with the show route. Makes sense. Then they started doing a show. And then that also kind of had some starts and some stops. At one point, you were going to have Barry Keoghan play the main character, which I don't know that he would have been as good. I like the guy that they got to play Yorick here. Sure. But also Lashana Lynch was originally attached as Agent 355. I would have loved to see that.
Yes.
And then Imogen Poots also was originally going to be Hero, his sister. I can see some of those castings for sure. And, like I said, this thing has had some starts and stops along the way. It's been an interesting project that I've been following forever. So I can't believe that it's actually here finally.
Woohoo!
And I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it is pretty much following the storyline. I'm intrigued to see how long they have plotted out because I want it to continue. I don't want them to cancel the show. We don't get through the whole story arc. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
are they going to give it a full 3-5 year run? What are they going to do here? And does that just depend on ratings and stuff? Because I'd hate to only get one season and then this gets canceled. Because there's a lot of cool stuff still to come down the road on the show. And the first episode alone sets the table of this, this plague that kind of hits. Every man in the world dies except for Yorick. He's the last man alive, and his monkey, his capuchin monkey, ampersand. So we can find out along the way why they survived. And that's the whole plot of the show. And like you said, Diane Lane plays his mom, who falls into the presidency through designated survivorship, whatever, if you will.
Sure.
Olivia Thirlby plays his sister Hero. You got Amber Tamblyn in here. I was like, how long has it been since she's done anything? I feel like I haven't seen her in a while. She plays an interesting role in there. And then Marin Ireland, I like her. She has a little bit more to come down the line in the show. And then Ashley Romans, who plays Agent 355. She was in Nosferatu, which I like that show quite a bit. I didn't love her character in it. I think she's better in this role so far.
Okay.
So I will say that. But this definitely has like a Walking Dead vibe somewhat, but I don't want people to go in watching this thinking you're going to get zombies, you're going to get crazy stuff. It's much more grounded than a Walking Dead.
Okay.
And I feel like it also has like that 9/11-y pandemic kind of vibe to it. So it is very like timely for the show to be coming out when it is. Maybe that's hard for some people to watch though too. Like, is this not a show you want to watch right now? I don't know. It kind of plays into that a little bit, but I think so far it's pretty good. It's not, oh my God, blow my doors off, the best thing I've ever seen, but I'm impressed so far. And I think so far the first 3 episodes at least, they've kind of left you with like a little bit of cliffhanger, a little bit of something to go on for the next episode. Makes you want to just keep biting into that apple a little bit more. So.
Well, that's good. As someone who knows the source material, I don't know it whatsoever, did not read these comics, so I'm coming into it with completely fresh eyes. I very much so enjoyed the first episode. The character introductions, letting us know who these folks were in the beginning, and then, honestly, the final scene of the first episode, a bit of a tough watch. That was a little rough. There were some pretty solid acting performances by a few of these ladies, seeing the men around them die, including young children and whatnot.
Yes.
That was a little bit rough to watch. So, but I'm invested. I'm fully invested. I made a little boo-boo here, buddy. I didn't realize they had dropped 3, and I timed myself in watching our things to then just knock out the one, and then it said play next step, and I was like, son of a beach, because I'm in. I'm in. I want to play the next step. So I'm with you. I hope this gets good ratings, folks. For the one ep I've seen, I'm giving high praise. I'm very much invested. I want to see where it goes. And to your Walking Dead point, okay, I got there's elements because it's
just like post-apocalyptic. Yeah.
Sure. But there's more to that. There are more interesting things that are coming in there. I thought there were subtle little things, like they couldn't get Israel on the phone. Why? Well, only men answer the phones over there. Like, things like that. I was like, okay, so we're going to get into some depth into that. So it's on Hulu, 10 episodes. So we have 7 more weeks to go. So around episode 265-ish, we will be. It's Mondays, though, I believe, right?
Is that right? Maybe. You're right, because that's why we didn't watch it when it dropped last week. But so far, I will say that Ben Schnetzer, I want to shout him out. I think he's doing a fantastic job as Yorick, and I don't recognize him from anything else. I know he's been in some other stuff, but not really a name you recognize, which I think is a smart way to go with your lead like that, and kind of, you don't go in with those preconceived notions of what his performance will be. So I think he's doing a good job.
I like it. So we will be back with that one probably around episode 266, actually, folks. Give us that week to actually watch it. And we'll wrap things up and let you know how they're going forward. Hopefully, it's one of those where it's so well received that by the time we're reviewing the whole series, we're like, oh, season 2, folks, it's a coming.
I hope so. And like I said, with a show like this where you do have a comic line to story to follow, like, just give them that commitment of, okay, you get 3 seasons. Do what you do with it. Maybe you shorten up some stuff, you cut some stuff out, but do what you can to get through the story that you want to tell. Because I'd hate for this to not get its conclusion.
And the comic wrapped.
Oh, it's done. Yeah, it's been done for a few years. Yeah,
because Walking Dead was still going, and while so that's what I was wondering. Okay, all right, we're jumping back over first time. We're jumping over to Netflix now. We mentioned Oscar Isaac. We mentioned Jessica Chastain already on the show, and now we have a show. It's on HBO. So turn off Netflix, switch over to HBO. This is HBO.
Yes,
I wrote Netflix. Either way, one of those. It's on the HBO 5 episodes. 2 have dropped, but Tony and I have only gotten to see 1, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. We had to record early on this one. So we've only seen the first episode of Scenes from a Marriage.
Yeah, and this is a kind of remake of 1973's Ingmar Bergman film, which is considered a famous film. And I think it was shot more as a miniseries also, but it was released as a film. It's like 3 hours long. So a very highly considered film in his filmography. I was excited to hear that they were tackling this, and I love me some Oscar Isaac. As you know, we just dropped our Spotlight episode, and Jessica Chastain also no slouch herself. I think one day we'll have to get her a Spotlight.
Sure,
maybe
I'm down.
Maybe we should have done it now, because she's also kind of in the news quite a bit. But so far, just based on the one episode, it seems good. It seems high drama, good performances all around. You've got some supporting cast appearances by Nicole Beharie and Corey Stoll, as well as Sunita Mani, which I will shout out. She plays the therapist. She's been in some kind of quiet stuff the last couple of years, like just slowly. She was in Mr. Robot. She was in Glow. I think you watched Glow, right?
Yep.
Evil Eye was a film I reviewed last year. Save Yourselves. So she's been in a couple things recently, and I like her. I think she's good here. And we talked about it a little bit on our Spotlight, how Oscar Isaac, I feel like he can just do so much with just little looks or subtle, breaths or whatever. And just that level of acting that these two are just honing in on together, and the chemistry is there. And I'm hoping it's good. It definitely seems like it's going to be a little depressing and sad, though, to me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Take that for what it will, whether you want to jump in or not. But it is you're here for the performances to see, that for sure.
If you listened to our Oscar Isaac Spotlight, you'll hear us talk about his previous relationship in a friendship mold with Miss Chastain, and you can tell that their chemistry is there easily together. I will be honest, I teared up the final scene of episode 1.
Yeah,
it's a rough watch, and his performance, like you see it in his eyes, it made me legit a little glisten in the eye. I was feeling for him, and I was like, "Wow, this is a rough one." And then she's like,
I've never seen somebody pull so much drama from going to a vending machine."
Well,
right?
They only had Pepsi. I'm a Coke guy too, so I don't blame them on that one.
Yeah.
That final scene is buckle in for that one, kids, and I think that might be setting the table for where we're going forward, because then it ends with her and her performance. This will be very interesting. Corey Stoll with a fun relationship advice giving segment in there. That was intriguing. Anywho,
their whole vibe is something extra, and I think there's going to be more down the road, maybe with them as well, and some other stuff going on. Sure. It's good though, man. It's good, and I think I'm going to commit myself. I've never seen the original, but I want to go back and watch it now too. So maybe once this is done, I'll do that and kind of do a little compare and contrast. But writer-director is Haggai Levi here, and he worked on The Affair and In Treatment. I know In Treatment has been really well received. I used to watch The Affair. I thought that was a great show, so he's bringing that same kind of vibe of that show over to this. So I think it's a good fit. Yeah, 5 episodes, so we'll finish it up in about a month and get back to you.
Yeah. Last up drops on the October 10th, so just after there we'll be getting there. And I have high hopes for it. Last thing that we're going to talk about is The Premise. This drops on Thursdays on Hulu/FX. I go the Hulu route. I don't have the FX.
I do too, and that's the weird thing, because it says FX on Hulu, but I've never looked. I'm assuming it's on FX also, or is it only on Hulu? I don't know. Because like the other thing I was talking about before, the impeachment, you can't get on Hulu. So some of their brand is very weird in that way.
So let me ask you, in the impeachment, can you tell there's commercial breaks?
They make you watch commercials through the app. So.
Oh, okay. So the things I watched on Hulu, there was no commercials, but you can tell when it leads and comes out of a commercial. Right. Sure, so I guess on FX you would get the commercials. On Hulu you don't. Yeah. But on your impeachment show you got commercials.
Yeah, because it's just the FX app.
Oh, so you watched that through the FX app on Hulu. Okay, so I'm just in the Hulu app.
Yeah, you can't watch impeachment there, though. It's insane. This is what I'm saying. The general public doesn't know where things are available and when. That's the crazy thing. That's why you listen to podcasts, and we tell you what to watch. But yeah, the premise is, it's B.J. Novak's show, writing, directing for the most part. I think the first episode might have been directed by somebody else, but I think he does most of the writing and directing throughout the series. 5 episodes. They dropped the first 2, with very different tones to both of them.
Very different. Yes.
The one thing I will say off the bat is I don't know if B.J. Novak is like at that level of a Rod Serling or Alfred Hitchcock for him to come out and like intro the episode every time.
Sure.
I could
Sure.
probably do without that. I don't know if we're like, oh, it's the BJ Novak thing. Like, I don't know if anybody cares, really. Unless you're like a hardcore Office fan, do you really know or care who BJ Novak is? To be like, you're going to the show for him? No, you're going to the show for the people
Yeah.
that they're
At
getting on the
first,
episode.
at first I thought it was that middle ditch guy. I was like, oh, it's not. Oh no, it's not BJ. I
Yeah,
didn't realize
yeah.
it was a different guy.
Little complaint there, but like I said,
Okay.
the two episodes very different. Your first episode featuring Ben Platt, Tracy Ellis Ross, Jermaine Fowler, kind of a funny take on policing and race relations and things like that. I got a couple chuckles out of this. It was an interesting premise where, this guy's sex tape basically can exonerate somebody because of
Yeah.
what's picked up in the background. And then now it has to be entered into court evidence and, things like that. So hilarity ensues. It probably could have been funnier, I guess. Like, I laughed, but I wasn't, like, rolling on the floor thinking it was hysterical. I don't know. What about you?
I got a lot of chuckles out of it. I did feel when then we went the route of trying to go like previous relationships to then try and like discredit
Oh, yeah.
him in a
Yes,
way.
that part was funny, yeah. They're
It
trying to,
was
like,
good.
smear him on the stand.
Yeah, and then so it drug a little bit, but then it kind of came back and finished a little bit stronger. I thought it was hilarious. The innuendo jokes, of course, were great, and just how he was embarrassed for his performance and his type of the weird things he does during it. But then you're right, you can see in the background, whatever. I thought Platt did a great job with it. His comedy
You
was
know what
pretty
else is
solid.
funny about that? He was actually playing a 15-year-old, and you didn't even know.
It's a Dear Evan Hansen joke for you, folks.
All right.
So
And then we got the other episode too. Episode 2, we got John Bernthal, Boyd Holbrook,
not funny.
totally different tone.
Yes.
Gun lobby relations kind of thing, and a possible mass shooting subplot. So yeah, very different tone. But I guess this is what the show is about. I think the poster for it even says like an anthology of now or something, I think is what he's calling it. So it's like, here's all the issues I see in society. Let's try and talk about them in a little half-hour base thing. I like this episode. I thought the performances were good. I thought Bernthal did a really good job here. It's just definitely a tougher watch than the first one, more dramatic.
Yeah, it was a great ep. It was just weird coming off of the comedy episode of the one
Yes.
before it and then into this one. And I was like, all right, are we parodying? And then it was like, no, he lost his daughter because of a school shooting. And, we're dealing with a heavy subject here. Bernthal does a phenomenal job. We're both Bernthal fans. And it's a great episode. It was just a weird going from that one to that one. So now it's kind of like, I'm not sure what to expect on the next ones. I do know the final ep is titled Butt Plug.
Perfect. Yeah.
Which would probably be one of your more serious toned episodes.
Yes,
for sure.
definitely high drama there. It is what it is. 5 episodes. I almost wish you would have just dropped them all, though. If they're little half-hour things, like, am I going to really want to wait week to week for this? Like, we'll talk about it again once we finish it up and see those other episodes. And I'm more in for just seeing the different people they're bringing each episode. It does seem to have a good, strong cast in each episode.
It's on Thursdays on Hulu, and the final ep is on October 7th. I might just wait and just watch the 3 on
rest
the
of
8th,
3.
and then we'll wrap up the 5 of the thing for that. But I'm liking it. I'm liking it so far. I'm enjoying what they're doing. I think from now on we'll have to introduce our YouTube episodes like that. One of us just walks on.
Just comes on, yeah.
Yeah, this is Take Two podcast.
I could do the Hitchcock one because he's got the silhouette.
Fill into the silhouette. You'd have to push your belly out, though. You'd have to push it out.
Not much anymore, buddy. It's pushing itself out.
All right, so many moons ago, the wife and I jumped on this brand new show called Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and we're like, yeah, it's good, it's funny, we're kind of okay on it, we'll see where it goes. And then the following season, it wins every Emmy under the sun, and we're like, what? That show that we kind of liked? So we were kind of in the minorities in not loving the hell out of the show, but it burst on the scene after that and grew. And then, of course, it went through its little trial where it got canceled and then it got picked up and then moved to a different network. So all in all, we finally wrapped up Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the entire series all done. Tell me about it, man.
Yeah. And not even just Emmys. It also won Globe that year. Won Globe for Best Comedy, and I think Andy Samberg won in that first season for Best.
Yeah.
I still think to this day he's the only performance that's ever won anything for it. Brower was nominated, I think, 4 times for the Emmy, but never won.
Gotcha.
And right off the bat, I will say they are the 2 best parts of the show. I will lean to Andre Brower being my favorite part of the show. He blows my mind in this role, like that how he can be so deadpan serious, but be able to get so much comedy out of the role. And anything before I'd seen him in the show, I would have never thought he could pull this off. I just didn't see it in him, you know. So he's great here. And Sandberg, I think over the course of the show, you know, it's been 8 seasons now, 153 episodes.
Wow.
In many ways, it's about his maturing as he comes in the first season, and the first season's a little more silly, and he's a cop who's really inspired by Die Hard, just wants to be like running, gunning, whatever. But as the show goes on, he's inspired by his captain, played by Brower. He matures a little bit. He tries to do his job better. He finds a woman. He gets married. He has a kid. All these things happen throughout the course of the show. So you see his growth and his maturing, and I think that was brilliant the way that they did it. It's a hilarious show every week, but they can pull some drama, and they can still do it, and pull some little issue episodes here or there, you know, and throw in some stuff that they want to talk to. And in the finale, you finally get kind of that moment of like validation between his captain and him, and like they have a real good moment that's like,
Oh, wow.
you know, you were my mentor or mentee kind of relationship, and I think that really pays off big in the final episode. I will also shout out the rest of the crew. Terry Crews, I really hadn't seen him do much besides a couple little comedy bits here or there, but he's actually really good here too, and he has some good acting ability. I'd like to see him do more. I feel like he doesn't do enough acting outside of this or America's Got Talent. That's pretty much all you see him doing. So get on that White Chicks sequel. That's what I need to see him in. Joe Latruglio, I love him. He's hilarious. And Melissa Fumero, she's good. And then Stephanie Beatriz, who, if you've seen In the Heights, she's in The Heights, and her character so completely different than what she plays Rosa in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So that just shows her range. And she actually got some notice, too, from GLAAD for portraying an LGBTQ character, and they appreciate the portrayal, see it as a real portrayal on TV that they haven't seen before of someone who's bisexual and things like that. So that's good. Every season of the show has gotten at least an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, nothing lower ever. Wow. So across the board, it's well loved. You know, like you said, it was on Fox for 5 years, switched over to NBC for the last 3. I do think the switch to NBC was a little rough, and maybe that also has something to do with just like this day and age of streaming, and people don't watch shows the way they used to. This kind of started when people still did watch TV for TV before everyone went to apps and cutting the cord and on demand, whatever. So the last couple seasons, they've shortened them up. This last season only got like 10 episodes, not a full run. And they even said over the off season last year, they didn't even know if they were going to want to go back and do it because of policing and race relations and things like that. They didn't want to poke fun at that anymore. So you kind of did see that influence in the final season, where there's a couple episodes of like social changey stuff. The one girl leaves the department because she wants to go work for like a nonprofit and make a change. You know, things like that are in the storyline now. So I think it's a great show. My kids have watched it now. My kids have watched The Office, they've watched Parks and Rec, and they've watched this all through fully. Wow. And this is their favorite. And they've already said they want to rewatch it again. Like, they think it's hysterical. They have some friends who watch it and really like it as well. So take that for what you will. And also, I've got to shout out, there's a bunch of like guest cameo characters that continue throughout the show that are great. So Craig Robinson, if you watch The Office, he was Daryl. He's in here a lot as a character that pops up once or twice every season throughout the show. Jason Mantzoukas, who's pretty crazy. He's always funny from The League and stuff. He comes back in here a bunch of times. They had Kira Sedgwick on here for like a long-term character where she was like the evil version of Andre Braugher. Like, it was like his nemesis, and they kind of went at each other. So that was kind of fun to have her in there. And then Lin-Manuel Miranda plays Melissa Fumero's brother on the show. So he comes on and had a nice arc on the show as well. So as the show went on and grew, I think it got better. It found its footing, and it just really settled into a nice place. Because I rewatched some of it with the kids, and I was like, oh, yeah, that first couple seasons was a little rough and a little more silly. And it was much more like, here's the ep of the week. Eventually, they also started to carry on some long-term storylines that I think paid off. So I love the show. I think now that it's wrapped, go back, rewatch it, binge it. I think it's worth it. It's one of those comfort food kind of shows, like The Office or Parks and Rec. Kind of put it on around the house while you're doing other stuff, and you can kind of laugh along at the little moments and eventually learn to love all these characters because they're really hilarious, and it's a great ensemble cast.
I wonder if Manuel being on the show helped Beatrice get on In the Heights. You know,
maybe, yeah,
met there,
possibly.
Got that. Yeah, to your note on the clips thing, and I said this I think last week. I've watched the lineup with the singing "I Want It That Way."
Yeah, they even referenced that. They referenced it in the finale again.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Too many times. Unhealthy.
And there's so many great moments with Andre Braugher's character, Captain Holt. Like, he is just hysterical to me. Like the one moment when he's just so deadpan, and then he's right in the one scene. He goes, "Hot damn!" Like just his reactions are hilarious to me in the show.
Interesting.
I don't know. So I love him.
Very nice. Hopefully you guys love us enough to stick around. We're going to take a quick breather and then be right back.
I'm like dribbling all over the place here. Do you see
Ew.
this cup is just like
your sippy cup is dripping. Oh no, that's a bummer. Speaking of full series, going back, binging, rewatching things, our most recent Patreon episode was on a first watch rewatch. I first watched the entire series of Lost. Tony rewatched all of Lost, and we decided to chit-chat about it because the anniversary of its debut 17 years ago just dropped, and we just dropped our entire recap of the entire series with a bunch of little fun nuggets throughout there. The only way to hear it if you join our Patreon, patreon.com, Take-Two Podcast. It's as low as $1. Here's the caveat. Tony has a challenge that's out right now. It's been a 3-week-long challenge. You get a Take-Two Podcast coffee mug sent to you for the next person that subscribes. Well, we're going to put them all into a hat, right? That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And a YouTube subscriber, a rating or a review, or a Patreon member, do any of those things, you get put into the drawing and you get yourself a brand new coffee mug.
Yeah, very easy, especially the YouTube subscriber. Come on, that's so easy. Just open it up, click a button, you're done. Or like you said, the Patreon, give us $1 and you get access to like 40-something episodes that we've done in the last 2 years. And I think they're all amazing. They're all unique and much different than what we talk about here. And especially if you're a fan of that Lost, how could you not want to jump on and listen to that discussion? Because I think we did a really good job kind of going back and pulling out the whole show and just pay the $1 for that episode alone.
Yeah, where you at, Jake's Takes? All right, on to the casting couch.
Yeah, casting couch, kind of busy this week. We got the announcement that there was going to be a remake of The Lost Boys coming. And it sounds like this has gotten pretty much the green light now with Noah Jupe and Jaden Martell set to star. And this is at Warner Brothers with Jonathan Entwistle directing. He is the guy who did that show, I'm Not Okay With This, on Netflix, which I really liked, but then they canceled it after one season.
It. Yeah.
They said because of COVID and like money, budget reasons, whatever. But he did a really good job with that show, and I love The Lost Boys, and I do like both of these actors. I think Noah Jupe is good. Jaden Martell in It, he was done a good job. So I'm a little interested to see what they do. I'm glad they're doing this instead of the CW thing that we talked about and never really what happened.
Oh right.
Yeah. So where wasn't it supposed to be like a female Lost Boys? Is that what it was supposed to be, or something like that? Whatever. But I don't know. I'm of two minds with this because I love the Lost Boys. Some of me just wants to say don't touch it, but so far this sounds like it has some credit behind it.
Valid. I'll agree with you. I think I'm leaning towards the let's see what we got.
Yeah. All right. Keegan-Michael Key has joined the cast of the Willy Wonka prequel film. We already know Timothée Chalamet is playing Willy Wonka there. So I'm not sure what Keegan-Michael's part will be. Maybe just one of the parents or whatever. Sure. Or I don't know if they're doing the same storyline even because it's like a prequel. So who knows?
Right. Yeah.
That'd be funny if he was the Oompa Loompas and they were like, somehow work him in there. Our boy Frank Grillo, we just talked about there with the movie Cop Shop out this week. He has signed on for a remake TV series of Nighthawks, which was an 80s film that starred Stallone. Do you remember that?
See, that's his lane. We've talked about this. That is his lane.
Okay. 100%. Just stay there.
Yeah.
And I thought in the article it said that Stallone is actually going to come back to direct in the series as well.
Okay.
That's interesting. Cool. I'm sure Craig is like, yes. I'm sure he loves Nighthawks.
Sure. Yeah.
I can see it. We also got we'll see how you feel about this news. The news of triplets this week. We had talked about this probably years ago, where they were talking about making it with Arnold and Danny DeVito and Eddie Murphy. We were like, that actually sounds pretty good. Like, sign me up. Well, now we're getting kind of budgetary Eddie Murphy with Tracy Morgan. And Ivan Reitman said he's going to return to direct. He hasn't directed anything in a while, and he's coming back just to direct this. I really wanted Eddie, That's where I'm at with this. It's fine. Tracy Morgan's funny and all, but I really wish we could have got Eddie.
Sure. I wonder. I agree with everything you said. I like Tracy Morgan. He has a very unique comedy that comes with it, and you enjoy it, whatever. And there's nothing wrong there. I wonder if we never knew about Eddie Murphy, if we were just like, oh, cool, they got Tracy Morgan. Triplets, like, that's kind of fun. Yeah. But I'm with you. Like, the bar was there, and it almost seemed too perfect. Eddie Murphy with that, just 3 icons, whatever, would have been perfect. But, oh well.
Yeah. I just feel like if the problem is that Eddie is too busy or whatever, then just wait. Just wait on that, man. Like, make it happen.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know. Whatever. Anthony Mackie has joined the cast of Twisted Metal. which is going to be a live-action series telling of that popular video game series from, I don't know, 20 years ago on PlayStation.
Okay.
And I think he's the lead character, is my understanding.
Yeah, he's playing John Doe is the character's name, I guess.
Okay.
And it's only 30-minute eps, so I might watch.
I remember playing the game briefly, like
is that where you're the cars?
Years ago.
You're the cars that battle each other? Okay.
And it had like a clown thing on like the cover of the game, I think, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel in the know.
All right. There you go.
Gamers, yeah.
Gwendolyn Christie has been added to the cast of Wednesday, and she will be playing the principal of the academy, as well as a rival and former classmate of Morticia, who's played by Catherine Zeta-Jones, already announced to be in that role. This show is kind of filling out nice. I'm looking forward to it. They've got a good cast going here.
Agreed all around.
And then I think lastly for me on the casting side is Matthew Fox. We just talked about Lost. Hasn't acted in anything in I think at least 5 years, maybe longer. He's back with a show called Last Light, and that's going to be at Peacock. So he'll be the star there, some kind of post-apocalyptic drama thing, whatever. But okay, cool. Let's bring Matt Fox back out.
Gotcha. Yeah, sure. Bring him back. There's those rumors he's hard to work with or whatever, but maybe his time off he matured and we'll be good to go. All right, just a couple more to add to that. A movie called Jigsaw. Giancarlo Esposito has been cast in this. This is going to Netflix. It also has Jai Courtney attached to it. Based on the true story of $70 billion that went missing after Hurricane Sandy in New York.
Oh, okay.
I vaguely remember that story, but no details on it. But that's what this will be about.
It's weird because I think I remember them talking about doing that as an American Crime Story, the Ryan Murphy thing, but I think that might have got scrapped. So maybe this is going to be a movie version instead.
Okay, there we go.
I thought it was another sequel to Saw. I was like, oh, Jigsaw, we already got that.
Yes. On a Wing and a Prayer is a movie about the pilots go down and the passenger has to take over and land the plane. Dennis Quaid's playing said passenger, and Heather Graham, I guess, is a flight attendant, on the harrowing adventure of landing
It's a true story?
I hope so, because otherwise, how did they get that across? He's got to land the plane.
It's the rookie as a pilot.
Right? I think I saw this, but they did it on the Hudson. Give me something good here, folks.
Yeah.
The Senior. This is also based on a true story. The Mike Flint. Do you remember the guy that got kicked out of college and then he came back in his late 50s, had 1 year of collegiate football eligibility left?
Oh, yeah.
Michael Chiklis will be playing that role, and it's going to be a TV series.
So you were too busy. Okay.
I'm not old enough. I can't pull off 59. Thanks.
Hey, Ben Platt can do it one way. You could do it the other way. Okay?
I go the other way? Leave the World Behind, the Netflix show with Julia Roberts. They have added Mahershala Ali to that.
Okay.
They have me at hello there. Luther. We're getting a movie from Luther. Obviously, Idris Elba is playing Luther, and they have added Cynthia Erivo and Andy Serkis.
Ooh, okay. Man, I was watching that What If episode the other day, and Serkis was back as Claw. I was like, man, I love him in that role. I wish we got more of him in that role.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I love Luther, and I can't wait. I'm always here for that. That's the closest we ever got to like Idris as Bond, was him being like a cop. I don't know, like he's great in that role. So
there's a CW show starring Brendan Fraser and Tom Welling coming this fall. Action packed show. I didn't get the name of it. It was like that's right. Some kind of action thing. The two of them. I just saw the
They should just play their former characters. So it's Clark Kent going to search for mummies.
And Brendan Fraser shows up?
That'd be great.
That works. And I saved the best for last. Nick Mohammed. You know the name.
Do I? Okay.
You don't. He's going to blow up, though. This is my curiosity. How many of these Ted Lasso actors are now going to do something?
Nate the Great?
Nate, yeah. So Nick Mohammed, who plays Nate, he's going to be in this movie called Magic More. It's already starring Tina Fey and John Hamm and being directed by Slattery. So a little Mad Men connection from back in the day.
Good for him, man. I feel like he doesn't get enough to do on that show, but when he does, he's brilliant. You know.
You caught up? Are you caught up on Lasso?
Oh yeah.
This week's a trippy episode this week.
Yeah, that's Willy Wonka shit.
Yeah, it was for sure. I want a pair of those pants. All right, we're jumping off the casting couch and over to a PodRec.
Ooh, podcast recommendation. This is where I sneak in a little true crime this week as well, since we weren't talking about anything otherwise. This is a new podcast from Wondery. I pretty much listen to everything that they put out. They're usually pretty good. This is called Suspect. And this had 4 episodes so far. I'm not sure how many it's going to be total, but it is the story of a 2008 murder that happened at a Halloween party. So you're in a bunch of different rooms with a bunch of different people. You may not know everybody. They're wearing masks. They're wearing costumes. Someone ends up dead. Sounds like a pretty good premise for a movie, honestly. So, yeah, and eventually there's 3 different men who are kind of like their DNA is found in suspicious ways at the scene, and they're men of interest, whatever. Somebody goes to jail for a while, but this also still remains unsolved. So there's still more to the story. So it's interesting so far. I don't know, like I said, how many episodes it will be, but it's a very cool true crime story. So if you're not getting enough on the Murdaugh murders, which is also going crazy every week, jump over and listen to Suspect, because it's another good one.
Very cool. I wonder if when they were trying to name the show and they were like going through podcast names or whatever, and you're trying to figure it out, they were like, "No one's used Suspect yet."
Yeah, how is that possible? Yeah,
let's get that. From last week's, I hate to say this because you just recommended a good one, but I jumped onto your one from last week, and then we tweeted something, and she liked it, and she interacted with our Twitters there, so that's really cool.
She is very active on the Twitters and all that stuff. I feel bad for her, though, because people are like taking her to task over like, oh, we don't like your voice and things like that. And it's like, really? Like, who gives a fuck? So good for her for keeping up with it and doing a good job there.
Sorry, we can't all sound like Sarah Keeling or Joe Rogan, like the mom and dad of podcasting. All right, let's jump on to trailer talk. Here we go.
All right, trailers for the week. The big one, I think, I actually kind of failed you here because I told you a couple and I did not watch them. I just realized. I wrote them down and I never watched them.
Look at this, folks. He didn't watch the trailers. Okay.
You are going to carry the business here. I did not watch the second trailer for the West Side Story, even though it was shared in our socials. And I heard good things. I heard other people talking about it, that it looks better than the first trailer. Is that accurate?
Yeah, please do watch it later because I've been kid gloves, like don't ruin my childhood with this type, mindset. I'm in. It looks good. The cinematography, it looks like Spielberg really put some time and thought into it. It's like, you have this classic film. How can you make it better? Oh, by the way, Steve Spielberg. Let's bring him in. Yeah. And so there's some shots that you're like, oh, wow, that's going to look good. Oh, I can't wait for that. So. Okay. It looked better.
Yeah, I think it was our Real Blend friends that were talking about it, and they said
that's right.
You can tell that he's been thinking about this for 30 years or whatever.
That's right.
Since he's been trying to make it, this is what I would do. This is what I would do. So that's cool if that pays off. Yeah.
Coming out in Christmas time to theaters.
This one I sent your way, and I think I started to watch it, but I didn't finish. I clicked on it. And I was like, okay, we'll talk about this, and then I went on to the next one, and I never finished watching it. So this is The Humans. And this is starring Richard Jenkins, Amy Schumer, Beanie Feldstein, Stephen Yeun, June Squibb. So pretty good cast there from A24.
Yeah, it looks intriguing. I think if I were to be able to honestly rank my favorite actor, like random actors of all time, Richard Jenkins has to be very high.
I feel like
I see him and I'm just like, ooh, yes, he's in, I'm in. If Richard Jenkins is in this, I want to watch.
When he can be in something like Shape of Water or Step Brothers, amazing.
Yeah, exactly. But like you said, a loaded cast. This looks in-depth, drama-driven type thing. Families getting together, Thanksgiving dinner type thing. This actually comes out Thanksgiving weekend, I believe. Yeah.
Well, so that's the weird thing. I'm looking at it. It had its premiere at Toronto, and it got some favorable reviews there. But it says it's releasing November 24th through A24 in theaters, but also on Showtime at the same time. So that's like the first time we've seen that happen. Where Showtime.
That's the first time we've mentioned Showtime on our show ever.
In a while, yeah. So that's interesting. I didn't know that they were doing that simultaneous release. So now I'm even more intrigued. I'll have to check this one out. And it's a directorial debut as well by Stephen Karam. So we'll see.
Okay.
I guess. So it's based on a play. So this is him. He did the play, and now he's filming the movie adaptation.
Oh, nice. Okay,
so
very
that
cool.
Makes sense.
Gotcha.
It actually won the Tony Award for Best Play in 2016.
Oh, I will say, the trailer is Amy Schumer shifting, because it looks like she's giving a very dramatic role here. There's a crying scene, some emotion. Okay. So we haven't really heard from her with comedy in a little bit. maybe is this her taking a step in that and showing us that she has some acting chops as well? We'll see.
She is a recent mother, so maybe that has something to do with her change in
There you
career.
go.
Yeah, never know. And then another one I started to watch and did not finish, I'm realizing now, is Needle in a Time Stack. And this is with Leslie Odom Jr., Frida Pinto, Cynthia Erivo, Orlando Bloom. What did you think about this one?
This looks like a better version of the Reminiscence that I just watched with Hugh Jackman.
Still never watched Reminiscence. I kind of decided based on your review to let that one slide.
Yeah, one day when you're drunk and it's a rainy day, go watch it. But other than that, don't bother. It's just them going back in time. They can change things, go back and revisit the past, revisit themselves in the past if they want type deal. It looked better to me, though. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I remember us talking about this, I feel like 2 years ago when we did like Cynthia Erivo Spotlight. This was on her like production schedule to come, and we were like, oh, what is this about? This looks good, And I like all the people involved. I like Leslie Odom Jr., all that. So, directed by John Ridley, who did 12 Years a Slave. So, okay. Interesting choice of direction there, going quite different projects between those two. All right, cool. When is that coming out?
October 15th, so right down the road. Yeah, right. A couple weeks.
Sticking with October, we got a trailer for VHS 94.
I've been waiting to tell you to go after yourself on this one since you sent it to me. Are you seriously going to watch this film?
Yes, why not?
Get the fuck out.
This is the fourth in a series of they do these VHS movies. They've done multiple versions of them, and they're brilliant because it's anthology style. So you get a bunch of short little stories. I feel like that's one of my problems with horror a lot of times is they take a good premise and maybe make it too long. And it doesn't pay off. Whereas this, it's like, hey, we're going to do this in 10, 15 minutes, knock out a full story, and terrify the shit out of you. And, not all of them are great throughout the years. Some of the parts are better than others. Some of them are worse than others, whatever. It is cool, though, that they always get good directors. A lot of times it's like up-and-coming directors get their starts in these VHS films. So, and this is going to be released straight to not Hulu, Shudder this year, which they've never done before. So that's cool.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so this one will be on Shudder in October. So I will definitely check this out and give you guys a review. Yeah. Were you shaking in your boots watching it?
Yeah, I do want to know how half the dude's face is like on the ground and his eyeballs like still looking all around. So let me know how that happens to that guy.
Okay.
Oh, God. October 6th, that one's coming.
I should make you go back and watch the other VHS films.
Oh, see, I can't watch this one because I would need to catch up.
No, they're anthology, baby. Anthology. All right, Don't Worry, Darling. I sent you the teaser about this because this is not coming out until next year, right? 2022, I think, release date.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Yeah, September 2022 release date. So almost a full year away. We got a teaser for this. Yeah. And it was just a quick little tease, but we got to see our girl Flo Poo in there, And this is directed by Olivia Wilde. I think this is just her follow-up still from, what's it called? Why am I can't think of the movie.
Booksmart.
Two girls. Yeah, Booksmart.
Yeah, Booksmart, yeah.
I don't think she's done anything else since then.
She didn't do anything in between?
Yeah. Huh. So, looks good. We got Chris Pine in here, Nick Kroll, Gemma Chan, Kiki Lane, Harry Styles. Looks interesting. It looks like a brighter version of Last Night in Soho.
Yeah, I can see that.
But that's weird. I can't remember a movie doing that, like giving us that tease a year out like that.
And the tease it's only 58 seconds long, if I remember. It takes a turn at the end where it's like a happy-go-lucky film, and this is all happy whatever, and then all of a sudden something different. My wife already knows I'm madly in love with Flo Poo. Yeah. And watching this makes me feel it's going to grow even stronger.
And Olivia Wilde, honestly. And I love her career and watching it where it's gone. I think she's been impressive to watch. Yeah, the tagline only is an unhappy housewife in 1950s discovers a disturbing truth while her loving husband hides a dark secret. That's all it says. So, sounds cool. I'm in. I want to see it. We also got a terrible trailer for I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot.
Speaking of dark secrets. That was your segment.
What are we doing here with this? What are we doing with this?
Do we know this was happening?
I knew it was happening, but we'd never seen anything until now, and it's coming out in a couple weeks. And it looks terrible. It doesn't look good.
They're adding depth to these characters before they kill the guy. Like, there's a background. There's going to be 4 eps before they even kill the guy in the first place, I bet you.
The best part about it was the Olivia Rodrigo song in the trailer. I was like, oh, I like this song. I was like, cool, okay. But I do not like this trailer. When you end with like getting a text message, like the killer is text messaging with emojis.
Mass texting, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I am a little curious. The change in now we have the tech, going into that.
Sure, true.
If
Yeah.
there is not a "What are you waiting for?" scene, that's all we.
There better be. There better be. Yeah. All right, and then the final one of the week that I was saving for this, burying the lead. I think the
Mhm.
best trailer of the week, Nightmare Alley. Guillermo del Toro. He's back. We finally got to look at this. What do you think about this one?
Is he man or beast? I mean, it's almost kind of like you don't necessarily know what the hell's going on here, and it makes you want to watch type trailer.
Yeah, so I've already watched the original, the 1947 movie. So I have a little bit
Okay.
of preconceived notion going into this and know what's going on. But this also looks like quite different than what the original was, and a little bit
Oh.
maybe darker than the original, a little more horror-ish in that
Mm.
realm. A little more fantasy elements and stuff too. Brad Cooper, who else is there? Kate Blanchett. Looks good,
Mhm.
looks
Mhm.
beautifully shot, and I like me some Guillermo, so I'm down to see Nightmare Alley.
Rumors of Brad Cooper getting some love, heavy acting award accolade love on this one. This would be his second horror movie after Hangover 3.
Well, and actually his second movie being released this year as well, because I think we're supposed to get that licorice pizza or whatever as
Right,
well
right,
with
right.
him. So he's
Yeah.
working with Guillermo and Paul Thomas Anderson. Those are some pretty good odds that he's going to get some sort of nomination this year.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. There you go. There's your trailer talk, guys. Now moving on to a what's in the glass.
What is in the glass this week? So, interesting thing happened to me that I got to say is I can't remember ever happening before. My wife's client brought in some beer for me. I was like,
What?
I don't even know who this woman is, but she just randomly brought in a 4-pack of beer and said, "Oh, I know you had talked before about your husband liking craft beer, things like that, whatever." So
Mhm.
I thought of him. They were visiting a friend in Connecticut, and their friend owns or operates whatever this brewery in Connecticut. So she brought me a sampling of their beers.
Wow.
I was like, wow, that's very nice. I mean, we've gotten like bottles of wine, things like that before, but never that where it was like for me. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. You're the one that's doing the work. Why am I getting the tip? So that was cool.
Nice.
But it is Labyrinth Brewing out of Manchester, Connecticut. So she gave me 4 different ones. I've had 2 of them so far, and I'm going to do something different I usually don't do. Most of my reviews are IPAs. I'm going to review the Chekhov's Pilsner, which usually
Ooh.
I do not like Pilsners that much. They're very kind of boring and rote to me and just like your Miller Lights or something like that is
Sure.
almost like just very bland. This was good. It was like a little more hoppy, so it kind of walked the line of like an IPA to some extent. But
Okay.
I kind of liked it. I kind of like the Chekhov's
Huh.
Pilsner, and if I'm ever back up in Connecticut, I might have to go search this place out and go check them out because I'd never heard of them. So Labyrinth Brewing out of Manchester, Connecticut.
Very nice.
Very
All
cool,
right.
yeah.
We're going to take a quick breather and be back for the final act of our show.
I was going to review one that was called Turbo Love Juice, but I haven't had it yet. So since it is our anniversary, I'm going to drink Turbo Love Juice this weekend. So.
There it is. Thank you. Turbo Love Juice will now be the title of this episode. Man, it's funny you talk about, just randomly thinking of you with the beers. I felt bad for a coworker of ours, folks. We've had a crazy week at work, and one of our supervisors bought pizzas for the whole, office. And went around the room and was like, I don't know the pizzas in here, though, guys. Who here might you? And picks out one of our coworkers who's a well-fed individual and chooses him to be the one. He must know a lot about pizza. I felt bad because I don't think our supervisor meant it in that way of like, hey, you're the fat guy, you must know where the pizza is. But I definitely think our coworker thought of,
I'm
took
also
it
glad
there.
that I wasn't there during that discussion because I might have been that guy that was like, "Hey, you look like you like pizza.
Not
Hey
you,
guy,
not
where's the
you.
best donuts?"
Oh, geez, I felt bad for the guy. All right, anyway, Hollywood news.
All right, we got to start off sad again. Let's start off sad.
Oh, I forgot about it too.
I know because it happened almost a week ago, basically like not that long after we stopped recording. Rest in peace for this week, Norm Macdonald. 61 years old, had been fighting a private 9-year battle with cancer. So, actually, I hate to say battle with cancer because he did a whole comic bit about why is this a battle with cancer? Like, he's
Yeah.
like, when you die, the cancer dies also. So isn't that a draw? Like, I didn't lose a battle. So he did a whole comedy bit about
Wow.
that, so that is who he was, very deadpan. I of course loved his work on SNL more than anything. I know he showed up
Sure.
in some other stuff. I wasn't really that privy to his other work, but SNL was great. He was very memorable in that Weekend Update spot and
Mm-hmm.
doing the whole Jeopardy thing, Burt Reynolds and all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He transcended a couple of different generations because there was the SNL, and we grew up as kids knowing from a couple characters in there, Weekend Update, and then Burt Reynolds kept it going. It's a little bit younger than us, got into it for there. So, you know what? I might post it onto our group page. One of, if not my favorite, if you don't know his comedy at all, the epitome when he does the moth joke on the Conan O'Brien show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually watched that one like 3 times this past week. Have you seen it? So I might throw that on there. So folks, if you're not familiar with this comedy, that kind of like encompasses it. Big loss, man. Super sad.
Yes. To raise us back up a little bit of positivity is that our boy Jeff Bridges was not lost. He is actually in remission now from his lymphoma. So he started off with a tumor that was 9 to 12 inches, they said, and now it's down to marble size. So he is back in remission, has finished up his chemo. He did say, however, that he also contracted COVID during his chemo battle.
Wow.
And he said that COVID made his cancer a piece of cake. And he was actually hospitalized for 5 weeks. And he, in his words, was close to the pearly gates, is what he said.
No shoot.
So he has had quite the run here, battling cancer and COVID, but thank God we did not lose him, and he is still around.
Jeez. Okay. All right. Good news then. Good news.
I didn't put this in casting because this is very much speculation and rumor, but there is supposedly a remake of Bodyguard coming. At Warner Brothers, they have greenlit it. They want to do a remake of The Bodyguard. Some of the casting that's been tossed around, Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, which I think we've already gone down that road a couple times. Why would you do that again? Especially when Men in Black International was not good.
Sure.
But then this one made me laugh. Channing Tatum and Cardi B. Are you kidding me? If that's the remake of Bodyguard, I am not going to be happy at all. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, immediately I thought it would be Jennifer Hudson would be my first thought for the casting there, but the Cardi B one would have to definitely be a comedy.
I almost wish it was somebody that was like kind of more unknown as far as the singer. Give us like a woman that we don't really know yet and make this her kind of coming out.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. That would be cool. But
Andra Day.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we talked about the Chris Nolan movie last week. I don't think we officially knew that it was going to Universal. Universal won that. It sounded like a crazy like bidding rights kind of thing that went on. So
yeah,
they've got it, which is funny to me because he went away from Warner Brothers because of the streaming thing. But it's like Universal could do the same thing. They just did it with Halloween. They said that they're going to put Halloween on Peacock. Could you imagine if they make the next Nolan movie and then some other shit happens like this and they're like, hey, we got to dump Nolan's movie on Peacock? He would lose his mind if he got put on Peacock, So interesting. I guess somewhere in his contract it has all these crazy things where with exclusivity and things like that, so they can't do that. Was a big thing that he was able to do.
Yeah.
So, like, I want to say the one thing said he had to have 6 weeks of like no other releases around him from their studio.
It's 3. I have them in front of me. All his list of demands. Is the studio can't for 3 weeks. Can't release another.
I thought it was 3 weeks on
either
side.
I'm sorry, it's on both sides, so it is 6. You're right.
Yeah.
So for 6 weeks, the studio can't release on either side. That's crazy to get that. He wants total creative control. Honestly, I feel every filmmaker should have that. Whatever.
Yeah.
$100 million
day release window, right? Also?
Yeah. That's the crazy part. The budget 100, the marketing budget also 100 million, but then 100 days in theaters.
Nobody does that anymore.
Chris, that's outdated, buddy. That's just not. Sorry, man. That's old. That's even old pre-pandemic, Yeah. And then 20% of the first dollar gross. That's a standard thing they throw into contracts. But that's.
I want my movies to show only in theaters that have print tickets.
Right. So Kevin McCarthy can get his stubs.
Yes.
Now,
10 years from now, I'm going to show him my ticket.
Let me ask you this question, and this might go down an awkward road, because I saw a lot of, wow, that's a lot of white privilege to be given to that.
Sure.
I mildly disagree. Like, it's earned. Like, I feel all filmmakers should be allowed to ask for that. But
to some extent, I think it's earned. But I also think to some extent it's pretentious what he's doing.
Oh, sure.
The 6-week exclusivity, 100 days in the theater, all the stuff. Like, I don't know if he's earned that, to be honest. Because Tenet was a bomb, man. Tenet did not do well.
Maybe it was in a
pandemic. But,
what if, maybe those are the compromise numbers. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, moving on from Mr. Nolan, we also got news that Bryce Dallas Howard is directing a reboot of Flight of the Navigator, supposedly to have a female lead this time instead, and this will be just for Disney+. I like Flight of the Navigator. It's a good little kids movie. I want
Recently
to know if they're getting
rewatched.
Pee-wee. Are they going to get Pee-wee back though to do the voice?
Compliant.
That's what I want more than
Yeah.
anything. So
Recently rewatched with the kids. Wanted to introduce the kids to that one. It's fine.
nice.
It
Yeah.
held up decently enough. A
Yeah.
remake would probably do well.
Probably, yeah. As far as like a kid getting interested in space, if you watch that at the right age, it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Whatever, things like that.
The part that wouldn't play to now is the kid gets lost in the woods and he's walking home. He would just text his mom and dad. Like,
Get
hey,
an Uber.
yeah, call an Uber instead.
All right. Only Murders in the Building will be wrapping up shortly. A couple weeks, we'll talk about that. But they got a season 2 at Hulu, so we know that show will continue, and
What?
it's obviously been popular enough. So yeah, maybe another murder will happen. Who knows?
I mean, okay, I'm still on the positive side, but it feels like a one-season show. Can't we ever just have one-season shows anymore?
It does, and I wonder if that means we're not getting resolution to this case in this season
Yeah.
then. Because that was, do you remember that show, The Killing, on AMC? That was a lot of people's problem with that show, is like, you kept it going for like 3 years before you gave us a solution to the one case. Like, it should have been a one-season, one-case kind of format. So we'll see. Dan Levy has signed a deal with Netflix now, a film and TV deal for 4 years. He had previously signed with, I think it was ABC, I think. So this is a new deal now that he has that's even worth even more money. He was getting, I think, $2 million a year from that deal. Now he's getting even more. He's already got a new rom-com he's directing, starring, writing through Netflix that's coming out, and it's a 4-year deal. So good on him that he has this creative control coming off of Schitt's Creek to just keep writing checks.
Sure. Nice.
Jeopardy. We've talked about Jeopardy week in, week out. I feel like, that host came and went. It was funny because I didn't realize they actually did tape like a full week of shows with him. So that was on. I was like,
Mike,
oh, this guy's hosting? Like, why?
Yeah.
I thought we got rid of him. So they did show those shows. They said now the permanent host search is actually continuing. But in the meantime, they're still going to have Mayim Bialik and Ken Jennings. And they're going to just kind of trade on and off depending on when their schedules allow, who can record what. But that's their plan at least to the end of the year. But they do want to still have like a permanent host decided on. So.
And LeVar is out.
Oh, is that accurate? Okay.
He pulled himself out. The thing I was reading is he pulled himself out. He's like, you know what, I'm good. He said he really wanted it, but he said he feels like he realized he just kind of wanted the hunt of getting the job. And then once it all kind of went through, I was like, all right, I'm over it. I've got other offers on the table.
And I know Mayim Bialik has also kind of like had her own trouble that people have like been questioning her, and so I don't think she's going to get like the permanent host thing. So
Sure.
All right. Lastly, for me, we did get your first Best Picture frontrunner for the year now, officially, because the movie Belfast has won the TIFF People's Choice Award. So that's kind of the first big award of the year that's like, there's your Best Picture frontrunner. If it's something, I mean, Cannes usually will give us a frontrunner, but this year it was like an international feature, things like that. That's probably not going to play out as a Best Picture frontrunner. Actually, from what I've heard, that might not even be a international feature Oscar player, even though it won at Cannes. So that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that France might not even submit it as their film for the Oscars, which is crazy. So
interesting.
but Belfast with the win there, that marks its place early on as like, hey, watch out for us, we're a Best Picture frontrunner. So that makes me more intrigued to see that movie.
Sure. Nice, good for them. I only have a couple of little things on there. The comedian Jim Brewer has announced that he will not perform. Come on, we're gonna get more of these. We're gonna
Who
get
cares
more of
though?
these.
Who was itching at the bit to see Jim Brewer? Like,
not a person. I've never enjoyed his comedy, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he won't do if a place is requiring masks or checks. He won't perform.
Yeah, you're seeing it both ways. Our boy Patton Oswalt came out recently and he canceled all of his shows in Florida and Texas because the venues wouldn't agree to it, whatever. So you're seeing it on both sides. It's up to you who you decide you want to support or agree with on this. But yeah, you're going to see it on both sides. It's just like, who gives a shit about Jim Brewer? I don't know.
Who cares about Allison Mack? She just started her prison sentence early.
Good.
I've never thought of that. I don't know. I always picture if someone gets sentenced to jail, they just that day. I always forget that there's different.
You get to go home for a couple months and get your stuff in order.
For a couple months, that's crazy. Yeah. Like pack some luggage. So she has 3 years in jail, 3 years of probation. She showed up for work early. She wants to get this out of the way, which I would think that's what you'd want to do. Whatever. And then blah blah blah. Oh, Knives 2 wrapped filming.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of me was like, They started filming? I thought we just added casting to it like 2 weeks ago.
I remember seeing some filming shots because people were speculating on who's in the movie, that there might have been some cast members that weren't announced and that they were seeing him in the casting photos, whatever. I think it was Ethan Hawke was one that we talked about.
Was in a thing, yeah.
Yeah, and like Batista, we saw some pictures, things like that. So yeah, cool. I can't wait.
Last thing I have would be of interest is what we're going to probably get announced. Going back to what you were saying a second ago with the murders of the building, Mayor of Easttown, it's getting even heavier for a season 2. But tonight, 2 nights ago for you guys, the Emmys, it's nominated for the limited series. But if we get a season 2, that's not a limited. Like what are we doing there? They should come
take it back. They should come take the award 100%. Back.
I'm wondering if they're waiting to announce this till tomorrow for as we're talking, or until after the Emmys have gone. So then if they win the award, then they wait till after and they go, well, now we decided to do another series. Yeah. That's weird. That's weird to me.
Will be interesting, yeah. And obviously we didn't mention that at the top of the show, but we're not going to have the Emmy results for you this week because we recorded early. So we'll chat about it a little bit next week. But I expect Mayor of Easttown to be, mentioned quite a bit. Probably Ted Lasso, Mandalorian, our favorites that we've talked about on the show for the last year.
Done with your Halloween news. On to the DC discussion.
DC, the only thing I saw for DC was the Batman's Penguins spin-off series, which I guess will be a prequel. They're calling it Scarface-esque, seeing his rise through, being a criminal mastermind, whatever. So I'm guessing, there's been a lot of speculation. Oh, Colin Farrell going to be in this? Nah. They're going to get a younger actor to play this, I think. I don't think Colin Farrell does this. But
I saw they reached out to him. They did reach out to him.
Okay.
I assume
I'd doubt it. I don't know.
As well. I assume it'd be a younger actor as well.
And I wonder if they can work this in with that DC, what is it, like the Gotham type show that they're doing as well? Mm-hmm. Like maybe they'll kind of introduce the character there, then spin him off, or do something like that with the show, maybe?
That'd be cool. Sure.
Like, is that show a prequel, or is that show modern day? I guess we don't know.
We'll find out, yeah. Done with our DC discussion. On to Marvel Minute.
All right. This is all you. I have nothing.
Marvel just officially put out their list of films for the next couple of years, and they're breaking their own record for movies in a year. 5 Marvel movies will be coming out in 2023.
That's insane. Yeah, I saw that they added some more to the calendar going down, but they didn't give any titles. Just said
no. It's just we're having 5 Marvel movies. That's it.
That just blows your mind though that they can have that much foresight and that much planning to know, and what we don't know behind the scenes that they're working on. They know what projects those are, but they're not letting us know.
Yeah, they knew August 23rd that they were going to be dropping a trailer for us, and they put it on the calendar of WandaVision 2 years earlier. Yeah.
They're like, all right, 2025, that Howard the Duck movie. Somebody's working on it right now. Seth Green is just inching.
That's what that September 10th calendar was that they had circled. That was actually 2025 that we're getting something. Done with Marvel. We're done with our show. Time to go forward.
Going forward this week is actually kind of light, which is a good thing. On the 22nd, we are getting the finale of 9 Perfect Strangers, I believe. So we will be able to talk about that one next week as long as we catch up with that. We are also getting...
Back.
Are you?
Yeah.
We are getting the debut episode of the Wonder Years reboot as well this week. So we'll see how that plays. And the new Star Wars Visions drops on Disney+, which is that anime-influenced kind of series. I think those are supposed to be like anthology one-off episodes, so that'll be cool. In your theaters this week, really just Dear Evan Hansen is your major release this Friday, the 24th. It was funny. I saw an article going around, and I clicked on it, but I think it was a joke, so I fell for it. But it was like they're de-aging Ben Platt's character. Like they went back and did like a de-aging process to release in some theaters, and then it will be that way once they release it to streaming. And I was like, that actually would have been smart. And if they would have spent the money on it, probably would have played better.
Jeez.
I think it was just a joke. So.
Oh, gotcha.
And also this week we are getting a couple big Netflix releases. The Starling, which we had talked about a couple of weeks ago in trailers with Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
And Midnight Mass, which I know I will be watching. I don't know about you. Probably not.
I'll do the bird movie, The Starling. Yeah.
So Midnight Mass also drops. I'm hoping to check that out and have some discussion on that next week. Oh, and Doom Patrol returns for its 3rd season on the 23rd on HBO. So if you're all caught up on that, it looks batshit insane from the trailer. So check it out.
All true. Take Two podcast wise on Thursday, you'll get the poll across all of our socials. What you got to do is follow the socials, then you'll get the poll dropped Thursday evening, and then you can share them onto yours. Comment below, vote if you don't mind. On Friday, you should be getting a new Patreon episode into your feeds. The only way you get to hear that is if you're a Patreon member. It's only $1 a month. You get backlog, all those episodes, 40 plus episodes Tony mentioned earlier, and then a whole bunch more going forward. We would love to have you and do appreciate being an elite listener for the Patreon.
And with that one, just a warning, there's going to be some singing, so get your pipes ready. There's going to be a little singing on that episode.
And then this weekend is the end of September, so that means the Realm of Take Two returns for September.
Yeah, nice.
So we get a little shout out from the Roy from the Realm.
I'm excited to see what he watched, because he didn't reach out to me at all about the Green Knight, so I don't know if he got a chance to watch it or not. Maybe we'll get a review. I want to hear his thoughts on it if he hasn't seen it yet. But and don't forget to go listen to that Oscar Isaac, so you can sing "Dear Mr. Kennedy." Oh.
Such a great song. All right, for episode 258. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.